So I've been involved in Minneapolis races for a long time because my county commissioner district was both St. Louis Park and Minneapolis. And I've been involved and endorsed those candidates. So what I've noticed since ranked choice started in Minneapolis in '09, I believe, is the tone of the debates. It's not always perfect, but the tone of the debates and the tone of the discussions amongst the candidates, between the candidates, has changed. There is no incentive in ranked choice voting to bash your opponent, because you always want to say to the voter, okay, if I can't be your first choice, I want to be your second choice, and let's just talk about the issues. And so I think there's more focus on the issues that make a difference in local elections to communities, and there's much less of that antagonistic bashing your opponent, and I've seen that in Minneapolis. Again, not always perfect. We tend to have more civil races for the most part out here in St. Louis Park, but not always. I've been in races here in St. Louis Park that I thought were slightly brutal. And so in having I mean, our culture now and everything we see every day in the news, we want to do everything we can, I think, to have the democratic process be sort of a fair and honorable and good civic discussion of the issues. So I think ranked choice encourages that.
I'll say also in Minneapolis, what I heard from people who made decisions to run is that ranked choice voting helped them decide to run, because you didn't have the primaries that were so low turnout and often favored by the more politico type folks, people who are really interested in paying attention to politics. They're more of the deciders. And so for candidates that I would consider outside the box, sort of the usual, not the usual suspects, if you will, there was more of a willingness and an interest to step into the ring, so to speak. And and right now we live in an environment where, I think it takes a certain amount of courage to step into the ring. So I would see that as a favorable thing that not only gives voters more choices, but really helps to elevate some of the leadership that we have in our community. And I think we're going to see in Minneapolis, we'll see some of those folks that ran and didn't win, but we'll see them visible in other ways and in leadership. And really, we're at an all hands on deck kind of time, right? And so I'm excited. That's one of the things that I heard some folks share with me, and that's one of the reasons I'm especially excited about it.
Just add one more thing. One of the lessons that I learned in regards to watching a lot of the different races around the cities is that there's lots of discussion in regards to term limits, right? You hear about term limits on a national level and things of that nature. Ranked choice voting creates such an even playing field that you're not necessarily going to be safe if you're an incumbent, and that could be a good thing or a bad thing. Every couple of years, we have democracy for a reason, for people to go back to the voters and then secure their vote. And if you haven't necessarily, been able to deliver in regards to what your constituents want, the voters have the opportunity to vote you out. And there's a reason why you have to go back every couple of years, because to make sure that you're on the same path, that you're in line with what it is that the voters want and are looking for. And so ranked choice voting gives folks a greater opportunity, I think, to have a more diverse set of candidates as opposed to those incumbents that have been in the seat forever, for decades. And then you have somebody who doesn't have the same amount of name recognition. Now ranked choice voting, especially if you have multiple candidates, provides an opportunity for folks to say, hey, I'm not throwing away my vote if I don't vote for the incumbent. I'm going to vote for the underdog because I really feel that their beliefs and their ideals and their policies and their principles align with mine, and then they can have the incumbent be their second or third vote, and that's what creates an even playing field, is what I've seen throughout the process.
One thing I would add, and this is based on observations, it's very hard to quantify, but this is my impression, which is that with a ranked choice voting system where a candidate needs to appeal not only to his or her identified base, but also needs to appeal to a much broader range of voters in order to perhaps get those voters second or third choice. It seems to also mean, or it may mean, that the candidates can't be as extreme in their views. That this may be a way of curbing the most extreme sets of allegations or assertions, and hopefully a way toward achieving a little bit more toward consensus or at least respect for others in the community.